Hey guys, welcome to the Winning Move podcast. We have an awesome guest today, Mark Evans, DM, deal maker, dream maker, the best businessman I personally know. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
Definitely, man. Thanks for having me, Stratton.
Of course. I'm really just excited to get into how you think, because what I think you offer everyone is like you think completely different than anyone I've ever met. At least solutions for things. And then we talked about like the event thing to where no one else has done stuff like that. But let's start off how you got into business, and let's talk about from 18 to 30, what you were really doing.
18 to 30? Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Yeah. So, I started in business June 21st, 1996. So I'll be 25 years in the game of business in general. Not always in business, saying I owned a business, but I really didn't have a business. I just had a high paying job. But man, from 18, I bought a owner finance a seamless gutter company from the seller, Larry. I bought that. I was doing work, found out how to do real estate. People are like, dude, I'm like, this guy's pulling up in a Porsche, smoking cigars all day, paying me. I'm like, what do you do? He's like, I'm a real estate investor. I'm like, that's what I want to do.
Oh, did we lose you, Mark?
You there? There you go.
Yep, I'm here. There you go.
Cool. So yeah, but just invested in myself, man. Just literally, I was robbing from Paul to pay Peter to keep learning and educating, and just betting on myself every day with dollars, not just conversations. So I met a lot of people on the journey, and fast forward to 30 years old. Now I'll be 43 this year, but 18 to 30, man, actually 18 to 27, to be honest. That's where I had the real big changes in 2005, October 8th, 2005. That's when my grandmother passed away. So it was like a big deal for me, a big wake up moment to like, I got to build something properly. I was just working and like I said, just making decent money back then. Now it's like nothing but compared to where we're at today. But, just getting around the right people and investing in masterminds and more importantly, just investing in myself, whatever that looks like.
So how many companies did you have running at 27 when we talked about your cash flow number? And you said like you diversified into a couple things. What made you even diversify?
Like, what age are you talking? Like what?
27. When you had that freedom number.
I was just doing real estate at 27. That's all I was doing. And then I became financially free at 27, right? So, but again, financially free is a very relative thing. I had enough cash flow to support my lifestyle at that time. I didn't have multiple houses across the country. I wasn't flying private, what I mean? So it's a different game now. Didn't have kids. And so, real estate's awesome to do that. Again, to create financial freedom is not hard. Most people don't even know what the hell their financial freedom number is, let alone even trying to create it. I talk to people every day. I'm like, hey man, what's your financial number? 10,000. Like that's not even a real number. It's first of all, it's plucked from air. And what we need to do is we got to get real with ourselves to know where we're going. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, man, that's kind of what I see is like most people don't know their numbers, but know your number, find a path to get it and go do it. And then once you get that number, really you have life by the balls at that point, man. It's time to grow at a whole nother level.
Right. So you say once you hit that number, and I was at a mastermind with a bunch of Life and Air people, and I didn't like, Life and Air, right? Like that mastermind where there's build it to that. I didn't like how I felt like once they got it, they stopped growing. What's your philosophy on that? I
don't know. Again, I just take care of myself. I don't know what other people are saying or doing or not doing or what they're thinking. For me, it actually gets me more excited. Because I'm moving and I'm growing and like shit, if I can get financially free by here, what else could I do? Financially freedom is not a destination. It's just a moment in the journey. So it's going to be a checkpoint. Boom. Okay. Now new goals, new drive, new destinations, and then just keep plugging away. How do I build this? What it did for me is it allowed me to focus on what I wanted. It's just as much as what I did not want. Like, for example, man, I get asked every day to come and speak on stages. I don't do it. I don't travel well. I want to take my wife and kids with me because I'll be hanging out at the bar too late. I'll be drinking too many drinks when I shouldn't be. And I want to, it's not how I function. So, and it's just not fun for me. Even though it's awesome to make the impact on people, but I just made rules like, hey, if I'm going to make an impact on people, either they come to me or I do virtual. I was doing virtual before it was a thing. You know what I mean? I wrote a book about this when I walked across Spain in 2013, so I was doing virtual deals since 2005, like virtually. And virtual now, what it really means is business building. You can run a real business if you have a structure. It doesn't matter if it's real estate, your call magicians or this or that. Like, it's an infrastructure, and it's a very powerful thing once you get it.
Oh yeah. So you were doing virtual, and I like how your companies now are virtual, and how your big core values, Care 360. How else have you built that culture with your people? And I talked to you about this at the beginning, but I think other people would at least like to know, who are trying to build virtual companies, don't ever want to meet their employees.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that work with me I've never met, and they've been on the team for years, some of them. I meet them like this, though. You know what I mean? I think you got to figure out where your core strength is as a leader. I've actually hired really great leaders and helped them become better leaders behind the scenes, so they lead the company. I don't need to be the leader of the company. I need to be the leader of the leaders. You know what I mean? So there's different people. Are you trying to lead the company, or are you trying to lead the leaders? And they kind of go hand in hand, right? If I'm leading the leaders, high level conversations, we're growing them. They love to be in the trenches. They love having those conversations. They love having manager meetings or whatever they do. And that's just not where I shine. That's not my thing. I spend an hour and a half a week. That's it on my companies, like on calls. Other than that, man, I'm doing work. I'm building, I'm strategizing, I'm organizing, I'm structuring, I'm purchasing, I'm selling. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of moving parts that, not everyone should be doing every piece. But on the virtual thing, Care 360, one, a lot of people talk about it. Most people, that's about all they're doing is talking about it. I actually lead by example. I'm always giving at many different levels. And I talked about this yesterday with some buddies at lunch, but the giving muscle is one of the biggest muscles in the world that most people don't ever tap into. We believe in tithing, right? If you believe in tithing, why don't you give all your money away? Right. Then all of a sudden you're like, well, I don't believe in tithing that much. They're like, oh my gosh, that's a little crazy, but it's a muscle. Recently, one guy in the DM fam, they had a tragic incident happen. They had a tragic accident happen. A little child passed away, and he's like, hey man, can we donate, raise 25 grand or whatever. And instantly there's always a number. When you guys see someone on a GoFundMe, or you're at church or wherever you're at trying to give, there's always an initial number that pops in your head that where you want to give. And then there's usually a settlement number that you actually do give. And that's the muscle, right? It's like going in the gym. You want to push up 300 pounds, but you're going to just settle for 185 and just do 10 reps. But what happens is you're being tapped on the shoulder with that number for a reason. The universe is testing you and saying, hey, Stratton, let's see what you got today. $1,000. And you're like, oh my gosh. And then you end up giving 100, not you necessarily, but just like an example. So if a number pops in your head, that's the number you stick with. If you believe in abundance, if you believe in tithing, and you believe in giving, why would you not give that number? And the universe is testing us all the time, even at lunch, man, I'm always, even at all meals, I give $100 tip. I always have had for a long time. I don't care if it's $2 bill, like a $2 bill, or if it's going to be a $300 bill, like I'm giving at least $100, I want to make an impact. I've already set it. It's like I've set my habits up, to grow my muscle.
When did you start realizing how important giving was?
I've always known giving's important. Yeah, I've always known giving's important, man. When we were kids, we actually had a house fire. My parents lost the house. We didn't have that much insurance. So we were living in a little camper out back, a little 13-foot camper with 3 kids and my parents. And, we had a great family help us out. We stayed with my aunt and uncle for a minute as well. But, the community came together and gave some money and gave effort. And, so giving has always been something my parents have always instilled into me, just giving, and so money just enhances that, right? I just want to give more. The more money I get, more money I want to give.
And you are, secondly, you're the most thoughtful person I know in business as far as little things. Mm-hmm. Where did that come from? How did you learn how to do it? And when did that start clicking for you?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's something interesting. It's well, first of all, actually, it's kind of funny. Just coming into the office, I had this in between my computer, right? So my wife says, babe, and sends me a nice little note or whatever. It doesn't have to be a dollar value on top of it. Like I enjoy sending gifts. We spend thousands of dollars a month on gifts of all types. But giving, you cannot outgive the world. What it does is it allows me to focus on the good things in life, the good things in people. Very grateful for where I'm at and where I'm going and what we have. I don't need more stuff. I just need more. I want better friendships, deeper relationships, longer. Like to me, I've never had someone say, "Dude, quit sending me cool gifts." You know what I mean? This is not good. But it's a great hack. It reminds me of one of my mentors back in 2000-ish. He had a radio show back then, and he always loved like peach Snapple and orange Tic Tacs. And I'd listen to his show, get all excited, and I'd literally, this is before Amazon was drop shipping and all that. I was going to the store, buying huge boxes of Snapple and Tic Tacs and sending them to his office. And I would do that for a couple months, and then finally one day he's like, "Dude, who are you?" So it's just a great way to, one, we say a lot of stuff. Most people only half-ass listen. But if you're really listening to people, you can kind of really know what makes them tick. Sending cool little thoughtful things, gifts, cigars. Someone just sent me, I get stuff all the time about like cigars in the mail. Like, "Yo, man, you should try these from Nicaragua. I think you'll love them." Just like a gift with a nice note, So there's so much opportunity to do that. And I do that with my team. I do it with people. It's just, you got to give, man. I think giving is it's one of the best things in the world to do, man. Make someone smile and happy.
Without a doubt. And so who are your mentors now, man? I think about this, like, who's teaching you all to lead these companies to where it's a size to I'm not even close to being there yet. How are you finding them? Who are you going to, if you can share that?
Like mentors and stuff like that?
Yeah, mentors and stuff.
Yeah, no, man. Listen, I've read over 5,000 books, so I got books here stacked up. I still got to read. I'm in the trenches, man. A lot of people say mentors. My team mentors me. I have great leaders. I have great people on the team sharing. I have great partners of people I partner with, and they're like, "Hey, this is what we're doing." So I'm mentoring by doing. I fail a lot. I think that's a big misconception. Is like everyone I know that's succeeding is failing more than most people every day. It's just we don't see it as failure. We see it as education and learning, and don't do that again. It's kind of like touching the stove. Ouch, that's hot. Okay, I should probably not do that again, even though we still do it a couple times more. But at the end of the day, for business, for me, man, I've hired some of the best coaches. I have relationship coaches. I invest in myself, man, every single day, either through reading, through audio books, through books. I mean, shit, anything you want to learn is online. I mean, it is. We live in the best time in the world to be alive for getting information. Problem is most people are consuming the wrong information. They're consuming what I'm driving today. They're consuming what this celebrity sleeping with this celebrity. You know what I mean? So it's the wrong consumption. I use social as, not a consumption tool, but an actual tool to get out there. It's a marketing tool. We can talk about that later if you want, but like, it really is, there's so many mentors out there. I have a lot of great people in my life, man. But like, another cool thing about mentors is I see where a lot of people go wrong. They go to the same type of mentors, meaning if you're a real estate investor, because I've done real estate for almost 25 years now. But if you're going to real estate only people, you typically pigeonhole yourself in these environments. They're just going to teach you a new best way strategy to do a deal. I don't need to know how to do a deal. I know how to do deals. I need to build a business to do more deals. You know what I mean? So I started venturing out and going to business owners and going to guys. And I used to run ads in the Columbus Dispatch, said, "Hey, local business owner wants to meet other successful business owners. I'll pay for lunch." And I'd have like older guys reach out to me. I'd meet them at Bob Evans and I'd talk to them. I was 18, 19, 22 years old back then, right? So just meeting people and like that, one guy sold a company for $43 million. Another guy had a $15 million company. And he's like, "Man, I wish my grandson didn't have purple hair and was doing what you're doing." You know what I mean? So, there's mentors everywhere. I'm learning all the time, dude. There's so many opportunities to be learning if you're looking for them,
And you talk about being pigeonholed. And when I was talking to you, and like, I remember going to a mastermind, talking to a dude who was 50, and he had the same problems that I had now, and he'd been doing it longer.
I hate that.
Right. Do you want to explain that to people to where you somewhat like, okay, I need to build something that is a lot more repeatable and the trap all the wholesalers get into, or investors?
Well, pretty much this happens in all businesses, but real estate we could talk to because we're in it. But like you said, I would go to these real estate events, and I'm 2 years in the game, and I'm talking to some guy 20 years deep in the game, and he has the same exact problems as me. And I'm like, like it just didn't make sense to me. I'm like, I don't want to wake up 20 years later with the same shitty problems I have today. I need new problems. I'm always looking for new problems, real problems, not like, why is my direct mail not working? Why is this seller not calling me back? Oh man, this title fell through. Like, I need real problems. Like, hey, we need to fund $72 million in assets this month, and we're in trouble. Like, those are good problems, because that means you got to stretch, you got to grow. I wanted to build something big enough where it had an organization, a team of people driving it, not me driving it. Because most investors, I say investors very loosely, by the way, most people doing wholesaling or real estate, literally you're like, the problem is you're riding an emotional financial roller coaster like crazy. I've been there, done that. It's not fun. I was just talking with a buddy. They just lost 200 grand on the books that couldn't get through title. It was their whole month. They had a goose egg, and they've been in the game a long time. And they're like, dude, this has never happened. It's not fun when you're shelling out 35, 40 grand a month, either on ads to make that happen, So now you're spending more money, you're making zero money, and you're like, what is going on? See, in real business, not to say there won't be ups and downs, but there's a lot more predictability in other companies that I've seen that I own. Not all money's created equal. Not all investments are created equal. Not all this stuff's created equal. So real estate investors, the barrier of entry is zero or negative. I always say it is literally the playground for the dumb. Everyone's dumb in it, it seems like. I'm talking to myself. I've barely graduated high school with a 1.8. I did not go to college. There was no thought in that. It's the equalizer of dummies, though. Like, anybody can get involved. That's what's beautiful about real estate. But then there's once you get bigger, there's things that are definitely start changing. The dynamics start drastically changing. So, but yeah, man, I think at the end of the day, just people pigeonhole themselves and just do the same shit, expecting different results, even though they're making money. The catch is this: you can make a decent amount of money doing it, 50, 60, 80, 100 grand a month, give or take, some more, some less. But it's not hard to make $1 million a year if you have a semi decent work ethic and in a good product category, such as single families or whatever, depending what market you're in.
And we'll take it back to leading leaders and having people, a business that can afford to pay good people, to where I feel like, at least in real estate, it's really hard to get there, to where there's a cap.
Well, again,
run into some serious bottlenecks.
Biggest thing you said, though, in that sentence is they're not a business. Businesses have money. Businesses have money to pay great people. They have money to pay people. So the problem is real estate, you make 50 grand this month, you spent 51 to make it. And or you're playing catch up from the 2 months prior of bad months, right? So you're playing this game. So when do you get out of that hole or cycle? Well, you got to really start building out the proper fundamentals of business building 101. You can't be taking money from your account, sucking it dry every month because you need money or you need a car, or you need a break in a vacation. Truth is, too many people are taking too many damn vacations. Too many people are hanging out all the time. I didn't hang out for a long, long time, dude. I mean, I don't even think I was ever in a plane for like 10 years. I was working, I was putting shit together. I had to do stuff. So at the end of the day, man, I think, you have to start carving out money, $1,000 a month, park it in a different account. This is going to be my hiring account. I'm going to hire great people through this account. And then you get 10 grand in there. Now you have 40 grand in there, or whatever, depending on your scale. And then all of a sudden it gives you a little bit more confidence to start seeking out quality players.
And so how can people start venturing into other businesses, and what are you seeing is stopping other people from getting there? Because I remember we talked about me, low-key, having an identity crisis of somewhat venturing outside of real estate.
Well, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, so when I'm doing, I've mentored a lot of people, and they're always like, yeah, man, I'm a real estate investor. I'm like, dude, you're so much more than a real estate investor. You're a dad, you're a brother, you're a son, you're a husband, you're a great guy. You got a lot of shit going on in your life. You have a family, man. You're so much more than an investor. And you're not even an investor. Let's be honest. You're not investing if you're putting no money into the deal and selling and making 10 grand on a wholesale deal. You're simply just doing transactions. The problem in real estate is too transactional. I don't like it. It's very transactional. I'm very relationship driven. So that's why I've always tried to figure out, put relationships inside the transactions. That's i.e. the gift giving, going above and beyond, a lot of cool stuff like that. But yeah, man, I think at the end of the day, you got to stop saying that's all you are. You're so much more. Use real estate. I always tell everyone, use real estate as a stepping stone. If I could go back 20 years, which I can't, but if I could, I'd go back 20 years and I would literally get the real estate business up to 50 to 100 grand a month and then figure out the next step. Okay, I'm here 50, 100 grand a month doing this, a lot of activity, but I got time to go build something way bigger. And that way bigger thing and that other thing is, I don't know what it is. It's different for all of us, but I love technology stuff now. I'm not very technical, but I do have people on my team that are. I love business, like understanding like scalability. I love one-to-many aspect environments, platforms, marketing stuff, like things that are residual, you know what I mean? So, because if you come to me, Stratton, and it's just like buying shampoo, right? You're going to buy it every month or every 2 months. I love products like that. I don't have products like that, but you could do that in business and marketing. I understand real estate, I understand marketing. We have a skip company, right? So that company skips. Guess what? You skip this month, you skip $2,000. Guess what you got to do next month? Guess what you do month after? If you're in a real business, we want to scale with you because everyone wins if you're doing it properly. So I love those types of businesses. So there's all types. I mean, dude, I've had a lot of failures in businesses too, right? So I've had seamless gutter company, garage door company, siding window company, storage facility company. I mean, it's endless. I've done so many things, and data companies, Facebook. I had a company called Virtual Deal Factory. That was a company kind of like Facebook for investors. That was a flop. I spent 800, 900 grand on that. And it's dead, zero,
What is your biggest?
That's where I met Peter, though.
Is it really?
That's cool. How I met Peter. He's still with me today. So again, there's always good in it. So many people out here, Strat, they all say they want to win the game and all that. Problem is they're not trying to win. They're trying not to lose. There's a lot of people playing the wrong game. They're playing not to lose. It's a way different cadence if you're going out there not to lose as opposed to win the fucking game. I'm in the game to win it. My game. I don't care about your game. I don't care about my game. I know what my goals are. I know what my team's goals are. I know what my family goals are. Like, that's the game I'm playing. And that's the book I wrote called Me Economy, right? All about this. The me economy. It's all about me. Sounds selfish. You know why? Because it is. If you don't like it, too bad, right? No president's going to save your ass. No college is going to save you. Nothing's going to save you except you. And once you take full responsibility, Strat, for all this stuff, this is why it's easy to learn, because I'm dumb. I know I'm not smart. I know I'm always learning. And at the end of the day, it's like, I can't wait to wake up and screw it up again, but I'm going to keep winning, because this is when most people quit. Every time they hit resistance, they stop, and then they blame for others, and it's poor me, poor me, poor me,
Oh, yeah. What is your biggest failure, man? Failure / lesson in business, to where it sticks with you and you still remember that shit and it makes you mad?
I don't have any like that, honestly. It wouldn't even be a failure. The biggest lesson is, I wrote about it in Magician vs. Mule with Vanessa. I had this lady that worked for me, and I was muling her out. I was treating her like a jerk. I didn't have any point of reference. I never learned how to lead people. You know what I mean? I was just in the trenches with them, and mule, work harder, pay less, work harder, pay less. That's how just how it was for me. So a big lesson for me, this is in 06 or 07. I just felt weird one day, and I knew something was up. I didn't even know what it was. And then she resigned. And I hate that, because she was an amazing person. I wish she was still rolling with me today, because I could only imagine where we'd be in companies with her. I look at people as great investments. I'm not looking at them like, I'm looking for people who want careers, not jobs. It's a way different thought. And we overpay everyone. We want people to be around. I want to see people succeed around me now. So back then, that was a big deal for me. That was a big pivot moment of treating people better, starting to learn how to lead people, how to drive people properly, how to grow people. And that was, I wouldn't call it a failure. Just a lesson,
Okay. So you got those lessons, and then you got Peter. Let's talk about how you've kept Peter for so long. Like you say, you overpay him. But one thing we run into in real estate, right, to where it's happened to a lot of people, is their main dude leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then you have to start over again, or the whole thing falls apart.
Yeah, there's a lot of things to that, though. I mean, one, real estate, it's an entrepreneurial environment out of the gate. You know what I mean? So picture this: you're sitting there working for someone, and you're doing all the work, and they're collecting the check, right? The big check. If you're not paying them correctly, they're going to leave. It's the nature of the beast. With Peter's a little different though. He's never really he was not doing the business. He was actually running the business, right? So I had a team with him. We have assistants, we have acquisitions, we have dispositions. I'm raising money. He's raising money. There was so much going on. It wasn't just like a little mom and pop, let's go do 2 deals this month. We're going to crush it and make 12 grand. It wasn't like that. It was more like, Peter and I were very communicative. Like we talked all the time. He worked with me side by side for 4 years before he ever did real estate with me. He was a tech guy. He was a CTO for Virtual Deal Factory. So he just came to me one day. I sold 200 something properties in a day via a webinar. And he sent me a message. He's like, yo, man, I think I could help you very easily in like 2 days and solve all your problems. Because we sold so many. It was just like insane. We just didn't know how to get the title work and fill out forms. So he knew how to do all that stuff online. And that's when he started coming into the real estate company. That was about 2008. So it was kind of cool to see that. And then he just started transitioning. And again, dude, I've invested millions of dollars in that guy, millions, with teams and office. We have offices. I'm paying 12 grand a month for him to have an amazing office. You know what I mean? And different things like that. So I'm uplifting him and pushing him. Now we don't need an office anymore. But when he wanted the office with all the staff and, you guys got to also remember in business, not everyone has the muscle when shit's hitting the fan to go harder. I'm built like that. I can go, I'm going to zero. I'm all in, so some people just can't do that. So you have to isolate these environments. Peter was really good at running day-to-days. Actually, then he got petered out of it eventually. He's like, dude, I just don't want to do it anymore. So we're talking, I'm listening. I'm like, hey, give me 90 days. Let's find someone else and we'll transition you out and then we'll go build something else. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of times people, they just pigeonhole themselves. Most people in all my companies are moving around all the time. You know what I mean? Okay. You could come in my company and be a deployer in the media company. And, 10 months later, you might be running the shit. Who knows?
So how are you getting Peter to relay the vision that you have to the rest of the teams, right? Because your whole thing is you don't want to be involved. You want Peter to handle all of that.
Yeah, well, Peter's only running one company. So Peter's easy. He knows the vision. The vision's been ingrained in him with him and I because he's been with me so long. You know what I mean? So he knows the vision. He actually shares the vision. He makes the vision bigger for me because he knows different stuff about data than I do, right? So he's like, hey, man, so I actually hired the data scientist. I hooked Peter and him up. I put them two together. I'm like, here's the goal. Peter's like, well, we're going to do this. I'm like, oh, wow, that's even better. And then, they just build out the formula and grow. Peter knows how to grow that shit. It's not, I don't need to hold his hand on that. Like I said, he's a guy that knows how to do it, a great guy. So it's different on the other companies, right? Because you're constantly sharing vision of where we're at, where we're going, where we're at, where we're going. One of our companies took a 50% hit, over the last 2 months, and it's not the end of the world. It's business. It's a very temporary thing. It's part of the game. We know it's going to come. We just don't know when it's coming and how big it's coming and how long. So, but what we do is, you don't start there and just beat the shit out of people and start cussing and yelling. You got to get in there and you got to nurture. You got to conversate. You got to talk about the positives, not all the negatives, because there's a lot of the negative, right? So everyone's getting scared. You got to talk to the team about it's okay to lose. We're not losing right now. We're learning. We're getting stronger. We're going to come out on the other side of this next week, next month at a whole nother level. I hope you're ready. You got to get them off. Dude, who wants to show up? You played sports. Who wants to show up every day and just beat your head up and not have a game to play? It's not fun to show up to do that. But if you have the game time, it's game time in 2 weeks, 2 months. Here's where we're at. We're making progress. We're getting closer. Let's go. We're a team. Dude, it's, little stuff like that. And I do that call every Wednesday, 10:30 to noon. And Kathy and Colina, their names that run that company. And I just shot them a quick text together. I'm like, hey, man, I just appreciate you guys. I couldn't imagine doing this with any other team, but you guys are the best. Thanks to you, not thanks to me, by the way. They run the day-to-day. So sometimes people, the owner, if you will take all the credit. I work for them. They don't work for me, man. You know what I mean? So I'm there to listen. I'm there to guide them. I'm there to push and prod and grow. And, I got to have the tough conversations though, unfortunately, sometimes. Right. So, but that's part of the game of being an owner,
Without a doubt. I want to take it back to, you talked about you're always 100%. And I was like, so how did you regain your momentum when your car was getting repoed? What did that feel like? And how did you come out of that even stronger?
Yeah.
Well, some people just don't bounce back from losses.
Well, that sucks for them. That's ultimate losing to me, by the way. If you don't bounce back from a loss, it's the ultimate, I don't even know. I don't even think about that stuff. So first of all, you get what you tolerate. You know what I mean? And I was embarrassed. Clearly I tolerated too much to get to that point. I had the, terrible tenants not paying me. That's my fault, not their fault, because I allowed them in the property. I had terrible systems. Actually, I had no systems back then. It was just go, hey, it's first of the month, go collect rent. I didn't have an organization. It was just like a machine. I was a machine. I was working 16 hours a day. I loved it. And then tenants quit paying. And then there was a cash flow crunch. So, I told myself, first and foremost, fix the biggest problem. Don't just have one stream of cash flow. That's step one. Noted. We have a bunch of streams now. So many, I don't even know how many now, but you got one stream of income, that thing gets cut off or cut in half, you're in big trouble. Or a quarter, this is the problem I see every day in real estate in general. Most people just have one stream. You got to have 7, 10, 20 stream. The more, the merrier. If anybody tells you to stop growing streams of income, tell them, show me your bank account, show me how many streams you got. They ain't got any. They probably don't even have a bank account. But at the end of the day, for me, man, it's I just saw it as man, this will never happen again. I went straight to gratitude, to be honest. I'm alive. I can breathe. I can walk. I can think. I know this was wrong. By the way, I knew it was getting repo was wrong. I didn't think it was acceptable. I didn't think it was someone else's fault. You know what I mean? Again, I've always been a guy to take responsibility for the good and the bad. Most of everyone's like, dude, I did that when it's good. And then shit's fan like, dude, the government did that to me. I didn't do that. The government did it. I'm like, what are you talking about? So at the end of the day, man, it's just, I was very grateful. I was literally in that 1-bedroom efficiency apartment, reading books with a candle, freezing cold outside this Columbus, Ohio back then. And these are books from the library. You didn't have to pay for them. You just go down the library and go through the card deck and pull out a card, go to the aisle, whatever. Most of you guys will never even know what that is because you don't need it anymore, right? But that's what I did, man. I just sit in there. I was like, this will never, ever, ever. I got pissed. It will never happen to me again. I was embarrassed, clearly. I don't even think most people in my whole life, I just started talking about that, my car getting repoed 2 or 3 years ago. No one even knew that. I don't think anybody knew. Yeah, because again, the neighbor was outside. I was like, oh yeah, I'm getting some new rims on the truck. I'm making up a story. I'm lying. And to protect my ego, by the way. And it was getting repo. And sure enough, they pulled it off and I never saw the truck again.
How do you combat your ego now? As you get bigger and bigger, it's hard to combat that when I'm doing this. These are my employees, blah, 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 where that ego gets really strong. How do you combat your ego?
I don't know. I don't even think about it, honestly. I'm a peon. Compared to where I'm going, man, I've done nothing. You know what I mean? Straight up. I've done absolutely nothing. Truth is, if you're genuinely wanting to get bigger and you're getting bigger, you realize you don't know shit. Here's what I know. I don't know anything. That's the truth. I don't know anything at all. Because there's levels on levels on levels. Now, don't get me wrong. The longer I'm in the game, the more opportunities I'm going to be able to keep. I just keep my feet moving, man. Just like football, right? You get hit, you got to keep your feet moving. If you're getting pushed back, keep your feet moving because you stop, you're done. So for me in business, I just get excited. 30 years in business. 28 years, 50 years. I can't wait until I'm 80 years old and I've been in the game for a long time. And I'm like, dude, I can only imagine what I can accomplish in the next 10, So it's just, you got to get out there and really just keep your head down. I don't talk. I know I see some people have artwork say self-made and all that. I'm team-made, dude. I'm not self-made.
I 100% agree.
I'm a team-made guy. I really don't call my people employees. I call them teammates or, there's partners or teammates or whatever. I'm not really big into the boss. I'd rather be a leader. I want to build leaders. True leaders build leaders. There's no way obviously I have a presence. If I come into the room, people would know that I'm maybe the owner, but I typically am not talking as much because I'm listening to the people in the day-to-days. My job is to interpretate the data, decipher exactly what they're saying and or direct to say, I'm not trying to come up with the answer, by the way. I'm trying to listen and maybe direct, hey, Strat, great question. You should hook up with this guy. Hey, Colleen, awesome. Here's what I think we should do. Get with Patrick, XYZ. What's your thoughts there? Again, it's just kind of directing the flow,
Mm-hmm.
So there's no ego to it. For me anyways, I don't think I have an ego on that side. Maybe I do. Maybe that's my ego saying I don't have an ego. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like the whole self-made thing because there's so many other people who go into your life as you're going through that journey who help you out on things, right?
Mm-hmm.
That first mentor you had, or even your parents, or even whatever lessons they did give you, that it's not all 100% self-made.
Everybody's impacted my life. You can learn from every conversation, communication. Like, I don't care if you just walk by someone, you hold the door and they don't say thank you. You can learn from that because you're like, say thank you every time. And just be, it's like, I'm learning, like, wow, hold the door for 10 people and see how many people say thank you. Like, that's what this is the shit I do, dude. Like, I'm just paying attention to that stuff, or I'm paying attention to how cordial people are, how they treat the staff, how they treat other people, how they walk, how they communicate. Like, it's never not a time to learn. There's always something to learn.
And so how did having Mark change your life? Right? Because were you still a workaholic when you had Mark? What was that like?
No, my wife might say I'm a workaholic now, but like, what is work, right? No, dude, I think you got to dial. I don't even know how I had time to do it. Back then I had more time than ever. Now you have a kid and you're like, what do I do with all this time? Because like, I'm hanging out with them all the time. So you definitely become a lot more efficient and effective. I think you start realizing what's important, what's not. Most people are just talking shit online instead of actually doing something productive. So for me, man, it's just, time blocking. I got my schedule in the morning. I get up real early, do my stuff before the kids and family even wake up. I'm already back home, had coffee, ready to roll. I'm working already, So done the weights, done all that fun stuff. And then, through the day, he's got school. So it's just like, staging it out, man. Just got to do what you got to do. I don't know. Well, I'm not like the plotter, man. Honestly, I just go with the flow. I kind of know a simple structure, and I understand things are going to change, and you just got to adapt. You know what I mean? So,
So you don't even have a philosophy on work-life balance. Pretty much, that was my next question. Just adapt.
Well,
like if something needs attention.
I don't know if it's philosophy or the reality is it's bullshit. It just makes people feel good, saying I got a work-life balance. Okay, cool. So you're sitting at home. You're 400 pounds, but you're not working and you're not working out because you got balance. Something's off. Or if you got work-life balance and you can't pay your bills, there's a problem. Dude, this is the biggest thing, Strad. This is kind of a digress for a second, if you don't mind. Like, I do a lot of stuff. We sell a lot of stuff. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars of products I've sold in real estate, court, whatever, all this stuff over the years. And it's always amazes me that growing people, adults, don't have $40,000 in their bank account. Like, you understand, my kids have multiple accounts with $40,000. One's Mark's 5.5 to his 2, multiple accounts, and I just don't want, the problem isn't they just aren't learning about money. You know what I mean? This is not a flex. It's just a reality. Like, you're a growing adult. So what happens as you get older and you have less and less money, a lot of people, this is why they're doubting themselves often. This is why they quit, so to speak, how it doesn't work. It's like, no, dude, the thing is, I've read many, many, many books on money. You know what I mean? Like, understanding how real money works. And, you make more, you don't go spend more. You make more, you preserve more, you grow it. You got to park it in places and growing it. So it's just interesting. I bring that up because a lot of people, they're not able to sell something high ticket, i.e. $200,000 on a house, because they don't have the money mindset. And if you get money mindset, what happens is you realize there's a lot of people, you guys realize there's a more of people have millions of dollars in their accounts, bank accounts, lots and lots of people. You just have to have those conversations, and more importantly, start the conversation with yourself, but realize there's an endless amount of money out there if you have a great product or service,
And then you talk about the money glasses of the guy making the dildo still a millionaire, right? Like, there's a guy out making sex toys who's worth millions of dollars.
Dude, there's a guy that make pool noodles, or swords, like I like to use them with my kids, weapons. But it's everywhere. I did a whole course on that right back in the day called Money Goggles. And the thing is, literally, even in this bottle of water, how many millionaires or 100 millionaires or maybe potentially billionaires are in this one piece? Like, you got the ink company, you got the company that makes the ink, you got the company that boxes the ink, you got the company that packages it, you got the company that ships it, you got the machinery, you got the screws on the machinery. I mean, it's endless. Then you got the real estate that they rent to make the product, the water. I mean, you can literally look at something and just pick it apart of the opportunities inside of one product. But yeah, man, Money Goggles is very powerful. But back to the kid thing, dude, I think having kids is definitely a great blessing. It's stressful as hell. They're terror sometimes. You're like, where am I going wrong? But it's the best, man. Again, it's what keeps me going. It's my I want to lead for him and my daughter Drea. I want to be a great leader for them. I think that another thing I see a lot too, respect. I don't care if my kids like me. I want them to respect me. Obviously, I do care if they like me. I want them to love me, but respect. I see a lot of people out there telling their kids one thing, doing the other. So eventually they're going to wake up and call bullshit on mom and dad if you continue to do that. It's not do as I say, not as I do, right? It's really just, I want to lead. I want my son to know every time I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning, he knows dad's up to something. You know, he's going to be working out. Here's the schedule. Boom. Like, it just inspire them through actions, not conversation, not just talking it, but doing it, you know?
When did you start thinking about legacy, right? So you're Ohio State. Mm-hmm. Like, you're what turned that on for me. I was like, oh, that is the coolest thing I've ever thought about. Like, this will be in our family for generations. And then the Thanksgiving thing to where you had that game. When did you start thinking legacy wise?
Well, again, when did I don't know. Again, I don't have a defined date on it, but like, it's always been important to me. I know we have a very small amount of time on planet Earth, right? We're going to die eventually. It's the only way out. So it's always been, I'm kind of like weird about that stuff. I always have always you know, today could be the day. Today, my number could be up. It could be like, calling Mark Evans, here you come, you know, like whatever that looks like. So I've always been thoughtful in that. I love experiences. You know, when I did the football thing, like you're saying in Ohio, like, you know, it cost $3 or $5 grand. I don't even know what it cost, but $3 or $5 grand, let's say. And some people say, gosh, that's stupid. That's such a waste. Cool. I don't care what someone says. Even my wife and I, we had a conversation where she's like, really? But it was awesome. It was amazing. I had a videographer there. I mean, we turned it into something really neat. And they're still talking about it. I just took them out on the yacht, you know, a couple of weeks ago, the family, to hang out. And it's stupid expensive and it's so silly, but it's so amazing. A lot of people say they're going to do all this cool stuff, but when are you going to do it? When do you step up and finally do it? And what I've realized, man, helping a lot of people over the years is just a lot of people talk shit and they don't do much, you know? So I want to be the doer. I want to be the opposite of everyone else. I'm so busy doing, I don't have time to talk about it. I'm just doing it, you know? Mm-hmm. So legacy is big, man. It's what it's all about.
If you could go back to like 19-year-old Mark, what would you tell him?
19-year-old Mark, go bigger. I mean, dude, like I was playing small. I thought I was big time because I was making, you know, decent amount of money, but like, just go bigger. I wasn't doing anything, you know. And when you go bigger, you got to get smarter. When you go bigger, you got to build a team. When you go bigger, you got to learn about financial, to learn about financial like resources, understand financials at the next level, how to read a P&L, how to read your balance sheet properly. It's not about net worth. It's about cash on hand, cash flow. Cash flow is king, by the way. Cash is not king by far. If any of you guys ever had $1 million, you'd spend it before. But if you have, you know, 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand a month coming in like clockwork every month forever, that's a different story. You can build a life inside of that. So a lot of people, I didn't understand. That's why I almost went bankrupt twice, because I did not understand how to deal with money. I was making a decent amount of money, but I wasn't good at keeping it. I wasn't good at preserving it. I would make it, go to the club, make it, go to the club, make it, buy out the whole club, I was just wasteful. I didn't know how to deal with it. So I just got rid of it. You know what I mean? I was always good at making it. I was just never really good at keeping it. And you'll see that's a very common real thing. If people are honest with themselves, a lot of people deal with that. So you got to start reading books like, you know, Magic of Thinking book, big, the power, Happy Money. I mean, there's so many great books on money and understand, you know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I mean, there's so many books, and get that money out. Like, the problem is too, I see too many people have too much cash sitting around doing nothing. I'm parking in investments, man. I'm buying stuff all the time for investments, all the time.
And well, you empty out your account, well, for lack of better words, like you're going to get rid of it and you know it's going to come back in.
Yeah, I'm putting it in environments where it's going to grow. You know what I mean? I'm not buying cars, and even though I have some of those, but like, I'm not like, that's not what wakes me up and gets me excited. You know what I mean? I'm like, dude, I'm playing the cash flow game. I'm trying to figure out how to buy more cash flow every day.
Right. Well, now you're thinking about buying companies, and who put you on that? Like, who told you to start thinking that way?
Well, I did it. Actually, that's what I did 2 days after I graduated high school. I bought a seamless gutter company. I read a great book back in the day, 101 Ways to Buy Real Estate Without Money by Wade Cook. This was a long time ago. That book might have been done in the early 90s. And I just read it like it was an easy read, and it's very creative thought. And it's not, just because it says 101 Ways to Buy Real Estate doesn't mean it's not, you can't buy other things too like that, you know? So when I met Larry, The truck was just sitting there doing nothing. So the asset's worth zero. It's doing nothing. The company is doing nothing, right? And it's been around forever. It's been around for like 20 years. And he got in a car wreck, couldn't climb ladders anymore because seamless gutters run your fascia. So I stopped by his house. Literally, because I'm not going to school, man. I'm not going to college. I want to get out and make money. I always wanted to just get rich. That was the truth. I just wanted to make a lot of money. So I stopped by his house and said, hey, my uncle, I had to create a story, right? Because he was going to listen to an 18-year-old kid. My uncle might be interested in buying your company. Is it for sale? Absolutely it is. I want 50 grand. I'm like, dude, 50 grand is like, I would never even seen that amount of money in my life, right? So I went back the next day with the story like, hey, my uncle's not interested, but I'm interested, but I can't pay 50. And he's like, well, what can you pay? Blah, blah. And I ended up paying 25 grand for it and $287 a month for 5 years or something like that. So what I realized, and again, I didn't realize it until later, but literally I drive off in this 1978 E350 truck, big old bread truck, and the gutter machine's in there, all the ladders, and I'm so excited. I get home, we transfer the phones, the number that's on the side of the truck and all that, and literally the phone's blowing up. Did 15, 20, 30 calls a day. So you're buying 20 years of his life, 20 years of his experience, 20 years of his marketing. In one day, I have all that. And that's not always good. Sometimes it's bad too. But like, when you can wake up literally today and I can take $1 million and buy something, and tomorrow the phones are blowing up. They already have a staff. I got 10 employees with the company or whatever, teammates. Like, dude, you know how hard it is to keep 10 people around? You know what I mean? So like, you're buying that, you're buying time, you're buying, like, not only am I just buying money, I'm buying time. And if you guys do this in real estate, by the way, you're doing this in real estate. You see a house, there's a bigger value, you take it, you tie it up and you sell it for a fee. You can do the same shit in business. It's the same thing. Motivated sellers are everywhere for businesses and houses and everything else in between, right? So you just got to educate yourself on what are business owners' problems, what are business owners' solutions, what are, just go online and like how to buy a business. I mean, there's merger and acquisitions attorneys everywhere,
Without a doubt. Mm-hmm. That's all I got for you, man. Thank you so much for coming on. What do you want to leave the people with, and how can they find out more about you? Yeah, man, appreciate it. Check out over on Instagram at Mark Evans DM. We got a lot of cool stuff going on over there. My guy Beacon's always posting videos and content stuff I've created on podcast show. I have a podcast show called the Making of a DM, and like you said, deal maker or dream maker, depending on who you are, what you're trying to do. But man, just follow me over there. I got a new book coming out, Me Economy. I don't have a set date yet. Still working on it, but we're getting close. That should be out. Magician versus Mule. Beacon, which Strat. Yeah, Beacon could post that up and get you guys anything you guys need over there. But check it out. It's on Instagram at Mark Evans DM. But dude, just honestly, man, just grow. Don't stop. Never quit. No matter how down on the dumps you are, know that life's not happening to you. It's happening for you. It's a test. All this time, dude, like in all seriousness, when shit hits the fan, which it will, every day, it always does, something's going to happen. I just start laughing. You can ask my wife. This isn't always good, by the way. We get in fights because I start laughing sometimes about stuff when we're fighting. But I just start laughing because I'm programmed to think like, dude, this is going to be a great chapter in a book one day. And one of my books is going to be a great chapter. How I lost 572 grand. Boom, boom, boom. Like that's real life. That does happen in real life business. So you got to start losing more. I know it sounds counterproductive, but if you're losing more, that means you're winning more. Many of you guys like bragging like, I don't lose. Then you're not playing big. You're not playing at all. You have to lose. There's losses and wins. Strat, when you played sports, did you win every football game? No. Where did you learn the most when you played, in your losses or your wins? My senior year, we went 1-11, and I learned how to not be a leader. And that's what I think has helped me in my business ventures is I know how to lead people the right way. Well, somewhat the right way, right? Yeah, but your losses, right? We always learn from our losses, how to get better, how to get stronger, how to get quicker, how to put more work in on the front end. Because by the way, when the loss shows up, especially in sports, it's not that moment. It's all the stuff prior to that moment that you could have done, and you can't do it now. You can only do it the next game. So when you buy a house or, a business or whatever, and you might take a little loss, these are great learning opportunities. And if you stop, you lose. Keep your feet moving. This is when, and just laugh, because this is when most people quit. Just laugh and say, great chapter in a book. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it better.
I'm going to learn from this one. I'm going to learn from this one. I'm going to learn from this one. Truth is, when I'm winning, dude, I'm more complacent. I'm very aware of it too. I'm very aware. So I'm trying to be very conscious of like, hey guys, when we're winning, we got to win harder, because that means we're going to get beat up a little bit. We're going to have some losses in the growth and here and there. We might lose some people too, right? So, not everyone likes to grow like we do. But Strat, I think just keep people moving, man. Keep following you. Get with your call magicians, get the phones blowing up so they can start making some more money and build that company.
Oh, yeah. And quick shout out, guys. If you guys are looking for any outsourced staffing whatsoever, go to callmagicians.com. They'll take care of you. Thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Appreciate you guys.